Hey, unsubscribe, what's up? It's the Culture Detective here investigating your favorite albums. And, yeah, it seems like my subscriber rate has returned to the state before my viral video got out. So, return to square one, I guess. Anyways, today I'm gonna do an album review on the latest Shame album, Drunk Tank Pink. Shame is a post-punk band from southern London, UK, and this is their sophomore album. And I like it. I like it. If you know me, I love the post punk genre. Any album that is post punk, I pretty much will enjoy it, even though, of course, there are still a lot of post punk albums that I find kind of bland, not really all that great, like that Viagra Boys album, Welfare Jazz. But post punk as a whole, I absolutely love it. Bands like Algiers, Idols, Proto Martyr, and of course, throwing back to the origins of post punk, The Wire, Sonic Youth, Joy Division, and New Order. I've been really into The Cure lately. I love post punk. And this album is very much a post punk album, very tasteful one at that, and I really enjoy it. I'm gonna go over track by track as usual. The album starts off with Alphabet, which is a really intense and sharp album opener with angular, pointy guitars that are very bright and sharp, a very driving, chugging bass, and all of these guitars and bass just riding on top of the drums really smoothly. We get these very shouty vocal performances, which reminds me a lot of Joe Talbot's vocals on Idols, and in a good way. I love how blunt and shouty it is. It really gives the track a lot of energy. The second track is Nigel Hitter, and it is a Gang of Four-esque post-punk track with jangly and fun guitars, which I really love. But in the grander scheme of things, this track is actually a little forgettable because it doesn't really progress much at all, and it's kind of derivative of Gang of Four without really putting any spin on it. The third track is Born in Luton with its speedy guitars and tremolos, and it starts off incredibly energetically and intensely, and it kind of sounds like Sieve Fisted Find off of Fugazi's Repeater, and it's yes, while it kind of sounds like Fugazi, at the same time it has its own sort of sad-ish passive twist to it. And then, like 20 seconds into the track, it just breaks down into a slow, almost drony, kind of sluggish section where all the instrumentals slow down and it kind of builds itself back up for the chorus. And it kind of does that once again. And in a way, it feels kind of jarring and out of place from the rest of the track and also from itself. And it's just kind of confusing. However, the rest of the album from here on out are pretty good. We have March Day with its incredibly bright guitars, tight drums, infectious vocal refrains, I can't get up, I won't get up, and it's all very charismatic and fun. And the second half is crazy, it's warped, we get all these layered guitars just swarming and cascading on top of one another like a swarm of bees. It's all very fancy. The drums and shouty raw vocals on top of it without the guitars sound a lot like parquet courts, but at the same time I have to admit Shame puts a more sad and sort of cold twist to it, which I really like. The track Water in the Well is a danceable, tongue in cheek punk track with squealing, shaky percussion and, dare I say it, exotic guitar leads. The vocals are so wild and expressive, it kind of reminds me of the vocals of Alexis Marshall from the band Daughters, but in a way, this one is more humorous. This one is more fun having, while of course Daughters' vocals have always been incredibly intense and dark and menacing. The track Snow Day is easily one of the best songs on this album, also one of the best songs I've heard in 2021, from 2021 so far. And it is a multi-phased rock track with very anxiety inducing guitars and driving drums at first, with intense spoken word underneath, and sort of goes through several phases, but they all sort of string together with all these sad and sort of off the hooks, uncomfortable, unnerving guitars, as well as these drums that are kind of irregular, but sometimes fast, sometimes slow. The ringing tones of the guitars also add a really nice icy feel to this track, a snowy feel, dare I say. This track kind of reminds me of Proto Martyr's music, because Proto Martyr's music tends to be sad and depressive, but also very ringy and somewhat charismatic, and Shame kind of does it as well with their own spin, which is really nice. The track Human for a Minute is a mid-paced, subdued, dreamy track with a very smooth bass and uncomfortable guitars. I really love the lyrical approach to this track, because at first it starts off with the same concept with simple words, and it sort of develops that concept with more and more words so sort of stacked on top of it, and it's just really interesting. The guitar solo towards the end is also really nice. The track Great Dog is a very short, shouty, blunt rager. It kind of sounds like a rock song that Idols would have made, and overall this track is really short, kind of forgettable, and even though it's really short, it still feels somewhat stagnant, like no change has occurred throughout the track. The rest of the album is great though. We have 6/1, and it has these sour, tangy guitars that are kind of layered and flickering. Kind of reminds me of Woman's Public Strain, but in a way, Woman's music is more warm and dreamy and nostalgic. Shame makes it more depressive. There's the metallic guitar leads and the ringing drums underneath, and overall, it's still a really wild banger. And it smoothly transitions to Harsh Degrees, which is also a very intense and climactic banger with spiraling 3/4 guitar riffs and also these ticketing synths underneath, which adds so much more momentum to the track. And the album ends off with Station Wagon, and it starts off slow and simple, and it kind of builds up slowly but surely into this really just noisy explosion of instrumentals and guitars and drums. On top, we have intense spoken word, which is really nice. We also get moments of clarity with sweet pianos, which adds onto the multifacetedness of the track, which is really nice. But yeah, overall, I think this album is pretty cool. Sure, there are a lot of moments in this album that sound derivative of other post-punk bands and rock bands alike, but honestly, I really like how Shame puts a depressive, somewhat depressive, yet also bright and jangly style to it, which really adds their own style to it, really. Yeah, I also like the performances. I like the riffs. They're really catchy at times. I like the wild vocal performances as well. And yeah, my favorite track here is Snow Day, and my least favorite is Born in Luton. I'm giving Shame's Drunk Tank Pink a strong 7 to a light 8 out of 10. So, have you listened to the latest Shame album for 1 to 10? How much did you rate it? Like it, and subscribe if you want more, and thanks for watching. I will review 2 more albums and 1 more movie within January. Yes. And, yeah. I'm not gonna get a haircut for a while. I'm gonna let my hair grow. I know my hair is already super long right now, but I'm gonna let it grow because I want to know how ugly I can possibly get. So, yay.